Hello viewers, today I will be talking about Sikh and Christian relations. Now this is a very, interesting and not very much talked about subject that many people do not think about, many people are not really aware of how, Sikhs and Christians really sort of interact with each other, especially in India. But the reason I'm talking about this is because I am ruminating about Ravinder's post here, in which she is comparing Christians and Sikhs. And I'm reminded about Ravinder's own relationship with her family. Alright? Now in this post, Ravinder said, I do not belong to basically no bloody denomination. I'm a follower of my Master Jesus Christ of Nazareth. I checked out various church buildings for the last 7 years since come to Christ, and nah, mate, not for me. So she says she has not seen anything like Christian division. She says she comes from a Sikh warrior background. If ever I was in trouble, and I'd phone one of my Sikh bros, and trust me, he'd always bring an army along, but professing Christians, they'd rather fight each other than basically they're enemies. Alright? She says she is so grateful that she has a chapel home, and so forth. Alright, so Ravinder has done a couple posts like this in which she really sort of valorizes and glorifies Sikh, her Sikh background and other Sikhs, and how Sikhs get along and how Christians do not get along. Well, I really do not need to speak for Ravinder, because Ravinder has already really spoken for herself about this whole issue. What we are going to do is we are going to listen to a video of hers in which she is talking about how her family was rejecting her because she had become a Christian. So this, happened some time ago, before she was living in her current home. So let us listen to it.
Hey fam, how you doing? Yeah, it has been a while, isn't it? I haven't actually spoken to you guys. It's I've had some serious spiritual battles. Well, it's been kind of going on and off for 4 years since I've been around my parents' house, and I've kind of like dealt with it, prayed about it, fasted about it, and so there was this kind of spiritual battle going on between my parents' faith and my faith. So downstairs, my mum would be blasting her Sikh prayers, and upstairs in my room I would have the King James audio Bible playing 24/7. So yeah, it's been really quite heavy actually. Many times my old man had tried to chuck me and my daughter out, threatened to, make us homeless. I kept my mouth stush, bit my tongue many times, and those 4 years were quite heavy. So, looking back, since the incident, us falling in the river, I didn't have no relationship with my parents. There was a reason why the Lord somehow made me come and move in with my old folk. I thought I had forgiven them, but deep down inside I didn't at all. I had a lot of bitterness. So when I came to the Lord, it happened in that loft room in my parents' home. So that was a place where obviously, it was quite special to me in that sense, And so I kind of like had moments of isolation in there, and and so I know I realise now why the Lord has made me stay there for quite some time. So it was, to heal from my childhood traumas, because not only was I going through post-traumatic stress disorder with regards to falling in the river incident, but also, whilst I was at my parents' home, it just kind of brought back a lot of memories from childhood abuse that I had.
All right, let's stop this right here. So, I remember when this had happened. It was very obvious to me, because I had already known the history of it and how serious it was. But I simply do not think that Ravinder understood how serious the dynamic that she had with her parents was, how serious the dynamic and tension and contention between Christians and Sikhs actually is. And furthermore, now I think that at this point she is totally willing to deny that Christians and Sikhs really have any type of contentions or real sort of, problems with each other at all. And so you have her mother, she is downstairs, she's basically playing her Sikh prayers, and Ravinder is playing her King James Bible, which, truth be told, there was no real reason. And a lot of us have to realize this if we are Christian. There are some individuals that we are not going to be able to really convince through evangelism. There simply aren't, because in regard to Sikhism and Hinduism, this is a matter of honor. I was living in, a Christian household. And when I was about 12, I had started investigating other religions. I had basically become a Buddhist. Both of my parents were Christian, but they did not reject me for it. I was not treated any differently because I had adopted Buddhism. And so when you think about it, there are plenty of Christian families. They have atheist children. Some of them have New Age children, Buddhist children, all types of children. And you often see in those Christian households, it usually does not get to the point where the Christian parents are willing to literally evict their own children from the households due to their religion. All right? And so, for Sikhs, they want their family to be Sikh. They want their daughters and their sons to be Sikh. And that is a matter that is basically non-negotiable. Basically, if you are going to live in this household, they want you to be Sikh. To them, it is a dishonor that you are not Sikh. So, Ravinder now valorizes and glorifies Sikhs and Sikhism, which she even calls herself a Sikh today. But you see, Sikhism is a religion. If you are a Christian, what type of Sikh are you? Sikhs already know. No, you're not a Sikh, you're a Christian. And in India, they have a great deal of problems with Christians, and they basically use intimidation and violence to keep Christians from evangelizing, from preaching to their families or anyone they know. So this was a serious matter, and to be entirely honest, I do not even think Ravinder knew how deep the bad blood ran. That bad blood between Sikhs and Christians is just as serious as the bad blood between Hindus and Christians. And Ravinder, today she underplays this. She She says, oh, I'm from a Sikh warrior background. You know, there's nothing like Christian division. Nothing like Christian division at all. All right? That is what you see from her now. But it was a different story when she had to deal with her parents who were being bigoted against her because of her religion.
I come from a background what is known as a disorganised attachment issue, and that is from severe physical, mental and emotional abuse. So and I had to deal with a lot of those traumatic incidences that kind of came back as I was living with my parents. To heal from my childhood trauma, to truly forgive my parents from the heart, to kind of be respectful.
Which is a serious matter. Indeed, it is a very serious matter to actually forgive people who have done that much wrong to you, especially people who are that close to you in your family. And so, from this video and compared to, the later video in which Ravinder is saying, oh, you cannot, some people you just cannot forgive. Here, Ravinder was showing a good deal more grace. Here in this video, Ravinder was showing a good deal more grace. And at this point, and earlier, you could say Ravinder, she was really teaching people a good deal about grace, about forgiveness, and about dignity. Ravinder was involved in some pretty bad circumstances. Ravinder had a history that was not really rosy, so to speak. However, a lot of us liked Ravinder because she was, in these days at least, she showed a good deal of dignity. She showed a good deal of dignity, even though she had to depend upon her parents for that time. People like myself, we already know about the religious disputes between basically Muslim families, Sikh families, and Hindu families. They are very serious. They do not want their children to be Christians. They do not care they would care less if you were a drug addict, if you were high on marijuana or different drugs, if you were doing crimes, if you were living a life that was not particularly decent or even that honorable or just a decent life. But if you become a Christian and you basically clean up your act, you get away from the smoking, you get away from the drugs, a lot of these Sikh and Muslim and Hindu families, no, they are against you. And, many people do not realize it. And so a lot of them, they are willing to acknowledge the Christian God as a God. They are willing to acknowledge the Christian God as a God. It's just that they are going to say very frankly, your God is not my God and your God is not the God. All right? And so, if you are a Christian and you decide to be strict with your Christianity, you say these are the fundamentals of my religion. There are a lot of Sikh families, there are a lot of Hindu families, they do not accept that. They simply do not. And they are not going to live with a person who is like that. They cannot deal with it. And truth be told, their ideal is that you would be Sikh. And so a lot of people, even when they become Christians, they still have this mindset where in order to have honor and sort of maintain honor in their communities, they have to say, oh, I'm Sikh. You know, and Ravinder still says, sadly today, it is almost as though her whole mindset is different. Okay? She is boasting about her Sikh warrior background and talking about how Sikhs do not have, unlike Christians, you know, we do not have division as Sikhs. My Sikh brothers, and all right, what about your Sikh father? What about your Sikh mother? What about when they were mistreating you because you were a Christian? That seems like division to me. If you have people who do not even treat their own daughter with respect because she is a Christian, that seems like a lot of division to me. That is his own daughter. He does not treat her well because she is a Christian. Okay. But what is the problem? She's cleaning up her act. She's not abusing substances. She is trying to live a clean life. She is trying to put herself back on her feet. And all of us saw it at that time. I do not think you could really find anyone who is watching Ravinder's channel who is not saying, this woman, she looks like a woman who has a lot of hope and who really is sort of building herself up, you know, building her daughter up. And, you know, it was really edifying watching that. Not so much today, because her whole personality has changed. She started to talk to certain individuals, such as Truth Seeker, some weird individual who's promoting some type of dirt. He says, oh, take this dirt. It will make you feel a certain way, and then pray. You have Truth Seeker talking about cacao ceremonies, talking about Kundalini. All right, talking about how the Apostle Paul was working with demons, and where is Ravinder, doing an interview with him and smiling and very happy about it. All right, and I said it during the first time I had done a video about Ravinder and Truth Seeker. I said she is gushing. She is so happy to be doing that interview, and she is talking about, oh, Sikhs are so good and Christians are divided. Well, this was a time when her Sikh parents were not really, you know, they were acting completely different. They certainly were not acting kind towards Ravinder. They were literally being divisive in their own family. All because Ravinder was a Christian. So, any of us who see Ravinder on Facebook talking about Christians, talking about how divided Christians are, remember that this happened. Remember that this happened, and Ravinder was in a situation in which her Sikh parents were not really, hey, you know, they did not like any of that Christianity stuff. And they were not going to deal with her. Think about that.
Which I have been, you know. And also, you know, to witness to them, which obviously it was quite difficult because they're so embedded with, you know, from years of the Sikh culture, I suppose. I shared the gospel, and they denied it. And throughout the whole time, many times they've insulted me. And mocked my Lord. Again, I kept my mouth stush for quite some time. So on the 13th of August.
And we as Christians have to realize this is a real thing. Are we talking about every single Sikh individual? No. There are Sikh individuals who have respect. There are Sikh individuals who will not mistreat you. They are not so attached to worldly culture as to really treat you much differently from anyone else. But that is not true for all Sikhs. There are Sikh individuals, just like there are Muslim and Hindu individuals, who will say, my daughter or son is a Christian, and that is something I do not approve of. And this is just the truth. So the dynamic in India, going all the way back to India, is serious. And the dynamic in many of these Sikh families is very serious. This is a disgrace. This is a dishonor. A lot of us may think, hey, I can witness to my Sikh families or my Hindu families. Do your research before you even do it. This is a serious matter. This is something that will incite violence in some cases. When you are in these situations, you have to recognize, if you are depending on your family and you are living in their household, sadly to say, you're not going to convince them to stop their, to get out of or to renounce Sikhism. And so, sad to say, witnessing to them, no. I mean, you can try, but for them, this is a matter of honor. This is this is a part of them as much as their very race as individuals. If you are a part of the family and you decide to become Christian, to them, this is like a betrayal. You are the enemy. And so it was a wonderful thing that she was able to find a new home later on. And basically, it was also a wonderful thing that many Christians got together and gave her donations. And it was a pretty big sum, as far as I could remember. It was a pretty big sum of donations. It was at least a couple $1,000s. In U.S. dollars, I believe, what was it? Over $10,000, if not $12,000. So, it was at least 8,000 or so pounds. So when you consider the conversion rate of pound to dollar, no, it was a pretty good deal of money in dollars, in donation money. All right. And there were a lot of people who donated. There were a lot of people who knew about Ravinder. And whether we are here in the United States or in Britain, a lot of us did like Ravinder. And a lot of us do not agree with Ravinder now, because what we see now is, New Age people get along. Sikhs get along. We get an entirely different narrative from Ravinder than we used to. The narrative that we had gotten from Ravinder, her story was basically different. It was this idea that, wait, my parents are mistreating me because I'm a Christian. My parents are mocking my Lord because her parents were not willing to accept Christianity. And they were not going to, because that is a dishonor to them. It really is. And so that is a serious matter. You have to recognize all of this talk about Sikhs being nonviolent, that is nonsense. All of this talk about, Sikhs are going around giving food to homeless people. Well, some of those individuals do give food to homeless people. But many of these Sikh households, they will not do with children who are Christians. A lot of people have been completely rejected from the family, completely sort of denounced and rejected. All right? And many Christian, there are many people who record events like Sikhs attacking churches in India, to be honest. Now, there were a lot of Sikh warriors in India. And there are a lot of people who come from Sikh warrior backgrounds. And Ravinder decided to boast about that. These people brandished sticks, they tore Bibles, they vandalized vehicles. This is a serious matter to them. This is war. This is not a joke. Some of us may think, hey, these guys look funny with their little turbans, their big old turbans on their head. Oh no. A lot of them, especially in India and anywhere else, especially in the family where they say, hey, I want my children to be Sikh, you are not going to become Christian. If you become a Christian, you are not going to be in this family. In India, it is even more serious. These people take up weapons and attack people, and the Hindus do not care. The Christians are being attacked. The Sikhs and the Hindus are attacking Christians and Muslims. This is serious. This is not some type of little cultural difference. And I think even Ravinder, even she did not take this into account. A lot of Indians who are born in Britain and the United States do not understand how serious it is. Okay? There are a lot of, Sikh people. This is the greatest of disgraces. They will tear that Bible apart. Are right over there in India. And if they could do it in Britain, if they could do it in the United States, they would. Because you see what happens in the family. They do not want Christian children in the family. That is something that they consider to be unacceptable. And we saw that from Ravinder. Now, for Ravinder to basically say, oh, Christian division, it's nothing like it. Talking about her Sikh background, boasting about her Sikh background, that is quite something. Because those of us who have been on her channel before, we know better. We know that that her parents who were Sikh were divided against her. Basically, they weren't getting along with her. Okay. This was a serious thing. And it was not something that they appreciated. Okay. The Sikh community has its problems. But you see, because Ravinder was so, and it was not always like this. This was the time when Ravinder was wearing the crosses. She was outwardly Christian. She was not talking about marijuana. She was not talking about truth seeker and being a truth seeker. Oh, look, I'm a truth seeker. And talking about the law of attraction and karma and a lot of these things. I can say that there was a time when Ravinder was serious. She was serious about her Christianity. All right? She was talking about, my family are acting like this because the Sikh culture. They're heavily ingrained in that Sikh culture. But I thought the Sikh culture was so good. You were talking about on your Facebook about your Sikh warrior background. But all we have to do is look at this video and see what you were saying. You were saying they are ingrained in the Sikh culture, and they are mistreating you because you are Christian. So we know the truth. Some of us have been watching Ravinder for a long time. There were a lot of people who were donating money to her after this because they knew the seriousness of it. They knew, They will not tolerate a Christian. A lot of us knew it. And I am sure that some people had similar experiences and they probably donated money too. The people who were in the same situations, and they knew how serious, Sikhs and Hindus can be. When they reject you because you accepted Christ, no, that is serious. But this was around that time, to be honest. And let me say this, in those situations, if you try to spread the gospel to them, very seriously, it is not something that can be easily done. And some people do not even, especially when you're in that situation, in which you are depending on your family, on your parents, they'll just kick you out. They do not want to hear you talking about Christ. So, this is what happened. They were not going to have any of that Christian talk.
I had an incident with my old man, and he's been a drunk all his life, so he must have had a few. I don't know. He didn't seem himself, or I don't know what himself means anymore. He's always switched and changed up.
And let me say this. A lot of people who come from families like this, they would rather you be a drunk. They would rather you be a drug addict. As long as you say, hey, I am a Sikh. Oh no, I would never be a Christian. Even though here you are on the marijuana, on the drugs, on the fentanyl, or the crack, or just liquor. They would rather deal with you if you were drunk. They would rather deal with you if you were on drugs. Now at this point, this was one of the high points for Ravinder. in her life, basically. Okay? I mean, she was not talking about marijuana. She was not talking about, she didn't have some weird guy from the United States, I believe, who was talking about how you could take some dirt to get high. She didn't have this guy named Truth Seeker with his promotion of cacao ceremonies. I call it cocoa powder. I do not care. He's talking about how you can open up your heart with cocoa. With cacao, cocoa. Basically, I call it cocoa powder. It sounds funnier because that is how stupid the idea is. I would rather smoke weed before I'm getting high off cocoa powder. I'm sorry. That is ridiculous. I mean, but yes, she had a lot of sort of people come around promoting some strange teachings. Ever since she started doing that, Ravinder just started looking worse and worse. And, but at this point, Ravinder was on point. She was on point. She was not joking around. She was telling us the truth. I mean, she is doing things completely differently now. Basically, she spends a good deal of her time complaining about Christians and talking about how good, Sikhs are and different other people. Okay, but she barely says anything good about Christians in general. Most of the things she says about Christians are negative things, about how Christians are divided, they cannot get along, Christians are judgmental. But back at this time, a lot of us who were her not necessarily fan base, I'm not a fanatic for anyone, a lot of us who were her viewers, we really appreciated Ravinder, her testimony, her teachings, what she was saying. We had a lot of interest in it, and we really respected her as a woman.
Always kind of like being quite in that ambivalent state with both my parents, because they will switch and change, like, the British weather. So, it was weird what had happened. I was in the kitchen making a cup of coffee, and my daughter was having a cereal, and the geezer comes over and he said, effing and blinding, get your shite out of the garage, and otherwise I'm going to chuck your stuff out. And obviously I ain't got nowhere to put it. So I said, whatever, and he just kind of lost the plot, really, because I told him about himself for the first time. I had a dream that morning about him suffering in hell, like burning, and so I had to give him a message about him burning in hell, and I don't know, how the Lord made me come out with it, but it had to be done. And I told him, your pride is what's going to be your downfall, geez. You got to get down on your knees.
But for a lot of people, Sikh and Hindu people, even if you tell them, and it is it takes a lot of courage to do it, because this is honor to them. You do not tell me that my religion, that my ways are wrong. This was a time where Ravinder was willing to do that. This was a time where Ravinder was seeing very clearly, because she was in the midst of it. All right? She was not in denial about anything. She saw how her parents, she says, they're they basically switch on her. Sometimes nice, sometimes not nice. And that is how it often is, because at the same time they know that you're their daughter. And a lot of families are like this with who are Sikh and Hindu. If you are Christian, they have it in their minds, you are the enemy. I have to remember that you are the enemy. And that is the situation that she was in. A lot of us already understand it. And no, it is not a joke to those people. This is completely serious. This is not, I mean, there are people fighting in the streets. Warfare, real warfare in India. And those older people in the Sikh community, in the Hindu communities, they know it. Basically, if you are part of our family and you are not a Sikh or a Hindu, you are against us. That is that old Sikh and Hindu mentality. To some extent, that is that old Muslim mentality. All right? Now, there are some Christians who will act like that, but they are, at least in the Western countries, they're far less, at least in my experience, because I was involved in a Buddhist cult known as Falun Dafa. And my parents never rejected me for it. They never treated me badly for it. They knew I was involved in that, and they were Christian. But they still treated me with respect. I never was treated any less because of my religion, because of what I chose. They still treated me with respect. So, this is a big problem in the Sikh community. It really is.
And, and weep and ask God for mercy for what you've done to me, my sibling, and my mum here. And now what you're doing in front of my daughter, your behaviour is not acceptable. And so he was like, he lost the plot, man. He didn't like what I got to say. And he called my daughter a bastard child, with a C-U-N-T word. He was, he slapped me about a couple of times. I grabbed his wrists, looked straight in his eyes and rebuked him in the mighty name of Jesus, which made him back off. Couldn't hack it, and he was ready to do me and my.
Now that is a pretty terrible situation, and keep in mind that it doth not matter if, for in the minds of some of these individuals who are Sikh and Hindu, it is a cultural thing. Sure, I can drink. Sure, I can be abusive to my family. But I am still a Sikh. I am still a Sikh, and you are a Christian. And so I can do this to you because if you are a good daughter, you would be a Sikh too, and your daughter would be a Sikh. So this is the dynamic in these families. A lot of them. So it's like I can drink, I can get high, or anything of that sort, but I am still a Sikh. Alright? And Ravinder has basically called herself a Sikh now, even though she is a Christian. But that is a religion. And that is this type of cultural alignment in which, no, go to India and claim that you are a Christian Sikh and see how serious it gets. When you say, oh, I'm a Christian, but I have a Sikh background, I want to tell you people about it, you will be looking at these people with spears in all likelihood. Go to that church that they were attacking and say, hey Sikhs, hello my fellow Sikh. Can I talk with you? Can I tell you about the love of Jesus? Oh, no. This man will probably be giving you this spear without any sort of hesitation or doubt. They came with weapons. They did not come to make friends. We know about those Sikh kitchens. They give a lot of food out, right? But in India, it is a completely different situation. And for the people who migrated from India to Britain and to the United States, they know about this. Okay, this is about your family honor. You do not become a Christian in this family. Sure, you can drink, you can abuse your wife, you can abuse your child, but you are a Sikh. You are one of us. That is the idea. All right? And they are very serious about it. So you see, whether a vendor likes these videos or not, it doth not matter. Because the truth is, if she cares about them, if she says she does not care about them, she should obviously not be watching them. She should obviously not be watching them. If she does not care about them, do not complain about it on your Facebook where you're calling people, you're saying, oh, these a-holes are talking about me again. I don't care what they say. If you don't care, do not watch my videos. But some of us, who were your longtime viewers, some of us need a place to go and some time to spend just talking about everything that we've witnessed and seen. And some of the things that we are seeing from you now. All right? This is public social media. Everything here has been released to the public. This video, your Facebook and YouTube content. So you can block me if you want. You can block any of us who are criticizing you if you want on Facebook. It doth not matter, because that is nothing more than a sort of, that really does not do anything to my activities. Because those of us who have a problem with the messages that you put out and the teachings that you give, we are still going to make content. Basically, we're still going to express our opinions. Okay? And there will always be people in our Facebook comment forums who disagree with her. And the responses that she gives are disrespectful. Okay, and if I have to be the only one saying that Ravinder Rayat is disrespectful in the forums, then I have to be the only one doing it. It is as simple as that. But she had better believe I will keep talking and doing this. To be honest. Okay? Because some people come back to her videos, come back to her channel, and they wonder what Ravinder is doing now. What is she teaching now? How is she doing now? And they get to watch my videos. They get to learn about how she's been promoting marijuana, about how she is promoting the law of attraction, about how she is promoting the law of karma. And they get to understand that, oh, Ravinder is promoting New Age concepts now. Thank you for telling me. Thank you for telling me. And so that is the type of, those are the people I'm making these videos for. Now, Ravinder, it was funny. She gave me a friend request. She gave me a friend request knowing full well that I make videos, of critique videos. And then she blocks me after the fact. And her friend did too, Katie May. Katie May did the same thing. She gave me a friend request. Alright, and then she blocks me. I'm thinking, alright, you people are real funny. You really do not want to have discussions in your comment forums. But you want to try to act like you're friends and then block people. So this is what you have to deal with when you're dealing with her now. Was she always like this? No, she was not saying that Christians are just some divided group, because if Christians were just some divided group, then she would not have received so much donation money. You have to realize that she received thousands of dollars to help her from Christians donating to her. So Christians are divided, but Christians can donate to Ravinder to help her after she was kicked out of her parents' house. Alright? So, this is what happened. And if I have to basically retell history, sort of recount history and sort of inform everyone of this, then I will do it. Because some people remember what I am talking about.
Daughter in. I actually said those words. I'm going to kill you and your daughter. So I had no choice but to call the police this time.
And think about that. He was, and do we think he is joking? Ravinder is now talking about her Sikh warrior background. Well, that is the type of spirit that her father had. That Sikh warrior background. I will be doing the world a service. From basically committing violence against you. Look at what these Sikhs were willing to do. They're Sikh warriors. They took spears and weapons to a church. They were serious. They considered that church to be a threat. They considered those Christians to be a threat. They said, you are not going to convert any of us. You are not going to evangelize the gospel to any of us. We have our weapons. We are going to stand against it with violence. This was a serious matter. This was a matter for weapons. This was a matter for threatening any group that was trying to evangelize them. In particular, the Christians. In particular, the Christians. They were ready. Okay? They tore up Bibles. They were attacking the congregates. Okay, they throwing stones. The situation escalated into both parties hurling stones at each other, but they had spears. These people are willing to spill blood on the ground. This is a fight to them. This is a war to them. Her father was in that Sikh warrior spirit when he decided to say, hey, little girl, you do not realize how real this is. Whether he was drunk or not, that Sikhs in India get away with it. Sikhs in India get away with it. So Ravinder, now she spouts ignorance about this nonsense. This was August the 9th, 2023. Now she's ignorant about how Sikhs behave in their culture. Now she is ignorant about this. And Ravinder is not a Sikh. Apparently she is a Christian. The Sikh community, no, they know the difference. They know the difference. And when Ravinder was dealing with what she was dealing with, her parents knew the difference. And they did not like Ravinder's change. They did not like the fact that she became a Christian.
So, I think enough is enough, man. Seriously, there's so much a person can take. And I tolerate it quite a bit. So, it was heavy. So, we got chucked out, and so we are homeless. I'm at my son's studio apartment in Canning Town, and it's beautiful that he's actually provided us with emergency shelter until whatever the Lord has for us. I've contacted the social services and also the housing, and I have no idea where me and my daughter's supposed to be going now. I don't know what's happening. It's quite an anxious kind of feeling, but I'm leaving it for God. I have no idea. As I said, I have no control over my life no more. So.
And this is serious stuff. This has happened in a lot of Sikh and Hindu families. You can look on YouTube and look for yourself about the videos of Sikh families. Some people have been kicked out of the house. Some people even at younger ages than this. 12 and 14. Denounced in the family, where the family will not speak with you. They want nothing to do with you. Sikh and Hindu families. And Muslim families too. But, in India, those three groups, they are very serious about not being converted to Christianity. If you become a Christian or a Muslim in Sikh and Hindu families, that is the greatest disgrace. You have betrayed. You have betrayed your ancestors. You have betrayed your culture. This is what they think about it.
God willing, whatever He wants, it will happen. However He has my life planned, so be it. I've never had this kind of peace before. Normally I just I don't know. I remember when I was homeless when I was 17, when I first left my parents' home as an adolescent. There was a lot of depression. I was on drugs and what have you, and I didn't really care about my life and that. But this time I have my daughter, and so, I'm a primary carer for my little girl. My boys are grown up. They look after themselves pretty well, and praise God that they got a good head on their shoulders.
And so you have to recognize, when you have basically recovered yourself from taking drugs and you relapse into it years later, and basically you are sort of advocating for marijuana, and you were saying, oh, well, marijuana is fine, it's good, I really like it. I'm using it for medical purposes. That is one of the most dangerous things. And so, Ravinder now, on a lot of her really more recent Facebook posts, she was talking about how good marijuana was for a long time. Some really big pro-marijuana posts. And so, when you look at her eyes now, they look different. When you look at the way her behavior is, it looks different. I thought that marijuana was supposed to be helping her in so many ways, menopause and so forth. But I really, the way she talks is angry. The way she, some of the things she is doing now, the way she behaves seems really erratic. You can hear it in her voice. Now, those of us who are watching the older videos, we really hear a real sense of calm and a lot of collection in her voice. And so, I will just give my honest opinion. I think a lot of people who had substance abuse before, who were abusing drugs before, no. I really think most people like that should not even touch medical marijuana. Okay, and to be honest, I would say for those who want to use medical marijuana, you should just use hemp oil. Hemp oil literally does the same thing. It helps with stress. It helps with menopausal symptoms and so forth. Hemp oil will not make you high. It will not basically inebriate you. It will relax you, but it does not have the same effects as marijuana. All right? So, I am pretty sure if you can get marijuana in Britain, you can get hemp oil. So, that is my opinion. I think that Ravinder, she had substance abuse before, and now her talking about marijuana is sort of the indication. So much now, and looking as different as she does. To me, it seems like she is using it. And it is not having a good effect on her body and mind. I was not the only person saying that. There were people in her YouTube comment section who were saying the same thing. As far as I know, I cannot find those comments anymore. So, that is very interesting.
But yeah, it's been a bit of a crazy journey, actually. But I trust in the Lord. So, and He gives me peace. Every time I do feel a bit anxious, I talk to Him and I say, Jesus, what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? Who am I supposed to talk to? And so He directs me in it. So, yeah. But, yeah, it's going to be hard times for everyone, just like that, we became homeless, and like it says in, I'll just read this, Luke chapter 12, verses 51 to 53. Suppose ye that I am come to give peace on earth? I tell you, nay, but rather division. For from henceforth there shall be.
And that is very interesting, the verse that she is reading, because I think it really does sort of add for us a good deal of nuance that she is not applying now. She was applying a good deal more nuance back then. And so the reason there is Christian division is because Christians have their fundamentals. Christians disagree with each other, just like Sikhs disagree with each other. Okay? It's just like her, with her Sikh, Sikh family. Her Sikh parents. There was a reason they were not getting along. They did not want, they did not like her Christian conversion, her Christian change. She's a different person now. And they did not like that. So that was division. So here in this post, she's saying, oh, well, Sikhs get along. And we know that is not necessarily true at all times. Sometimes, Sikhs do not get along. Sikhs have problems too. But, I have to say, those of us who remember Ravinder and really benefited from her videos, these are the types of videos that we really benefited from. We didn't benefit from the videos where she was talking about, law of attraction, karma. These things are real. They're in the Christian religion. She was not trying to appropriate these Sikh and Hindu concepts and bring them into Christianity. And so that is why among Christians, yes, there is division, because we do not want, those things to be mixed with the religion. And we have criticisms for people who try to. The difference between Ravinder here was that Ravinder was not talking about the law of attraction, during these days. Okay. She wasn't, it was different. She wasn't bringing some man on her channel, who's literally saying that the cacao ceremony, is some type of spiritual. This is just, cocoa. Get out of here. Cocoa, you're getting high off cocoa. How, I'm sorry, I'd take cocaine. I would hit fentanyl or crystal meth before I get high on cocoa. I'm sorry. To me, it is embarrassing even to say, has my life really come to this where I'm getting high off of cocoa, off some type of cacao ceremony? And that man who's promoting dirt, I said, I'm sorry, forget about it. Give me the crack pipe. At this point, give me the crack pipe. There is no way I am seriously going to literally get high on dirt. And this man is saying pray afterwards? That was ridiculous. And the fact that Ravinder just sat there, and I thought, she is not taking any of this seriously, is she? Ravinder is not taking this stuff seriously, but basically she was. And some people may say, why do I even do these videos? I do these videos to sort of process what I see and hear on a daily basis. Alright? I have the right to talk about who I want on the public internet. I can talk about public figures. She's going on Facebook now complaining about it. But I'm perfectly within my rights. And if I have to say that during every video, I will. Because it is not registering to her that she has critics. There's always one or two people in her Facebook or comment sections who are disagreeing with her. It is not many. But she is so rude to them. She really is. But anyhow, that's a whole different thing. Let us listen to more of the video.
5 in one house, divided, 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. The father shall be divided against the son, and the son against the father, and the mother against the daughter, and the daughter against the mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Alright. There's going to be a lot of chaos in the world, as we know. You can see what's going on around us, isn't it? Unpredictable. And so, brethren, just be grateful that, you have a roof over your head, food on the table, clothes on your back, Even when we were around my parents' home, I was always grateful for my parents to provide a roof over our head, and literally we were in the loft room, so that was our roof. But it was like, I felt like a burden. It didn't feel like I was living with my parents. I was like, felt like we were lodgers in a way. And just walking on eggshells. And there was, as I said, there was a lot of spiritual warfare going on. especially with their idol objects downstairs, and it was just really heavy. The energy was really pressing, and I believe the Lord has kind of said, okay, you done your bit now. I mean, I used to really complain to the Lord every time there was a bit of a issue between me and my parents, or had a bit of a tension there, and I used to say, Lord, why am I still here? I knew it was temporary, but I just felt really kind of vexed in my spirit, the fact that I was still there. And it was only after all.
So, these are serious situations. They are serious situations because when you are coming against that, when you are having these disagreements and contentions in your family about you converting to being a Christian, these are matters of basically you going against a whole culture. You are going against a whole culture of generations of ancestry. And to them, since you are not carrying that on, you must be the enemy. I mean, that is I do not envy anyone who is in that situation. Back then, Ravinder knew it. She was not really afraid to talk about it because she was in the midst of it. And she had a different, she had a different mind about these things then. She wasn't sort of boosting up Sikhs and sort of saying, oh, Sikhs get along. Christians do not get along, because if Christians did not get along, they wouldn't have given her thousands of dollars in donation money. And now you are talking about Christians. So we have this other article, Hardline Sikhs, Hindus persecute Christians in northern India. Villagers hostile towards Christians in northern India falsely accused a pastor of an illicit relationship with a woman, and another village burned a church building, sources said. So I mean, these are serious matters. And you see hardline Sikhs and Hindus, because both Sikhs and Hindus persecute Christians in India. Okay? So, these are matters of blood. These are matters of bad blood. And so I could go through the whole video and talk about it, but mainly I was playing this video just to prove some points. Just to refute what Ravinder has said and to give her a rebuke, in a sense, and to provide my criticism. I'm a critic. I review Christian influencers on the internet. All right, this is what I do. Occasionally as a hobby. So, I will continue to do it. And once again, we see this very terrible picture that Ravinder had put up a long time ago. And every time I look at this picture, I just say, Ravinder was not in the right state of mind when she made this picture. She posted this picture and said, I scare a lot of pesky demons away in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Fire. Listen, devil, I'm about my Father's business, mate. Think about this. Is this a godly sort of logical decision to literally post a picture of you just making this ugly face? Is this something that reasonable people do? Is this something that people in their right mind do? Okay, and the fact that she received some comments about it, basically saying, and you see what Ravinder does, when people leave her comments, whether she is married or not, the fact that you are a married woman and you are posting a picture that looks this ugly of your face and you are making a spectacle of yourself on Facebook, that shows even more that is disgraceful. This picture does not look good. You do not look good in this picture. This looks crazy. This looks frenzied. This looks stupid. You think you are doing this for Jesus Christ? What type of father do you have that he wants you to look like this? This is how you do your father's business? Make an embarrassment of yourself on Facebook? Okay, but you see, if you post something and you make a point, in your criticisms of Ravinder, what she will do on Facebook is give you a ha-ha emoji. Instead of, and she did respond to him, but still, this is her way of sort of acting as though she is laughing at what you were saying. But she takes a lot of what these people say seriously. But she does these little cutesy posts, where it's like, look at me. I have a little cartoon face and the nose ring and so forth. And social media is bad for some people. Some people should not be on social media. Some social media is actually very dangerous for some people because it really affects them. It affects, how they function. It affects how they treat people. It affects how they think. And they should really get off of social media. Ravinder is one of those people. A lot of her problems are mental. Okay, now he is talking about a lot of different things, feminism and so forth. But you see, there is always some people who think, wait, why did you even post this picture? And Ravinder, what is her response? Ha-ha emoji. She left a ha-ha emoji. Ha ha ha, you're talking about me. You think that, but Ravinder embarrasses herself on Facebook. And a lot of people, they are not honest. And you see, Ravinder has posted a lot of these posts. They usually get, flags of false information. Okay. Why is she quoting Ayn Rand? Ayn Rand was a weird sort of white supremacist woman anyway. Why are you quoting her? What? Oh my goodness. Who needs to... Facebook is a whole different type of platform, to be honest. They actually give you a false information claim. But, to be honest, I do not know why anyone would want to follow Ayn Rand's advice, because, personally, that is a whole weird little conservative group anyhow. I mean, you can find better information. That's a sexy kind of scare, says Michael X. Brown. I don't think that's an appropriate thing to say to a sister in Christ, Geezer. You see the disrespect, Geezer. This woman who's basically 50 or over is calling people geezers. She acts like she's some young teenage girl on Facebook. Now, okay, this is how she acts now. Facebook and social media have not been good for this woman. They have not been good for her mental health. They have been very bad for her mental health. But you come on Facebook, you post this nasty looking picture of yourself, just snarling your face like a crazy person. You're saying you're doing it for God and you're about your father's business. This is a joke. This is embarrassing. This is something that crazy people do. So he says, I think your reaction is overboard. She says, what the hell? Nah, mate, I don't appreciate that kind of remark. Only my fella can say that to me. Well, here you are on Facebook, embarrassing yourself. Here you are on Facebook posting, the picture speaks for itself. The picture speaks for itself. The picture speaks for itself. You look, this is terrible. What were you thinking? If you had much sense, you would take it off. You are literally talking about what other people say about you when you post a picture like this. What do you expect people to say? What do you even expect people to say? To praise you that you posted some nasty, snarling looking picture of you with your nose rings and your, I mean, what did you expect people to think? You're saying this is something godly and that you're scaring demons. This seems like something a crazy person would do. And a lot of you British people are too polite. A lot of you British people are too polite. You will not tell the truth. You will not speak your mind. And I have noticed that a lot of Americans who come on her Facebook and are Christians, we are not afraid to really say, what are you even doing? What even are you? To be entirely honest. I mean, what was the point of this? Some of us who are not British, hey, I have noticed that a lot of people who have criticized her have not been British. Some of you British people are just, you let a person embarrass themselves on social media and you're all polite. You're saying, yeah, you're right. This is great. It is almost as though you want to make friends more than you want to tell the truth. So this man, apparently he thought it was sexy, but how can you blame him when you post some crazy looking picture of yourself? You say, oh, that's not a thing to tell a lady. Well, here's the problem. What you did was unladylike. You think this is what ladies do? You are going to post a picture like this and expect people to treat you like a lady? You want to embarrass yourself and make a spectacle of yourself and expect people to treat you like a lady? And it is all just a joke to you. You like posting cute little emojis. But a lot of us who have been supporting Ravinder, who have been watching Ravinder on YouTube for years, who have donated to Ravinder, bought items from her shop, a lot of us, we are looking at this woman and we are thinking, wow, you sure have changed, haven't you? You sure are acting weird. Goodness, just looking at that picture, I do not even know what was going through her mind. Apparently, she thinks that she is scaring demons away. That is interesting. So, think of that what you will. I do not know how to scroll down. Okay, I guess that's all of the comments for him. But yes, there are always a few comments saying, what are you doing? What are you doing? Okay. More of the conspiracy conscious stuff. You have, I withdraw my consent to be governed by any corrupt, compromised, belligerent, criminal parliament or government. I will not comply. Let us see how that works. Stop paying your taxes then. Let us see how that works. Let us see how that works. All of you conspiracy conscious people. What did Jesus say? Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Yes, we know Caesar is a criminal. We know the government is basically a criminal organization, but it is a criminal organization that the Lord allows to be over us because we do not deserve any better. And so what was, the Bible says, the Gospels say, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. So you pay your taxes and you comply. You can try to not comply and you can see what happens. So there are a lot of people, they bring in that whole conspiracy conscious stuff to their Christianity. Okay, they bring in that stuff. Now, as far as her shop, the store is unavailable. I do not know if she's going to open it up again. But that was a weird thing I saw. But anyhow, yes, this has all been very interesting. Occasionally, I do review Ravinder and other Christian influencers. And I have a few other Christian influences in mind that I do want to take a look at. But the purpose of the series of reviewing Christian influencers is to sort of help you know what certain Christians who have some fame, not necessarily that much fame, because most people who are influencers are not really that famous, but they still have some degree of weight in the social media world. So for me, my whole purpose here is basically to give you some information about them, show you what they teach, show you what they are promoting on their Facebook, so that you know, you can look at this video and you can know, so that you will not have to do all of the reading and look for all of the sort of references and different things that they make. Now, yes, Ravinder used to teach some very, she was a different woman, I will put it that way, and now, she has changed a good deal. So a lot of us have noticed that, and so we speak about it. This has been a very interesting video. Farewell, and may you be blessed. All right?